Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the week ahead look at what's happening in the stars. I am Louise Eddington, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology. I am a wisdom weaver who weaves the tarot and other things into these videos and my work and my forecast, as well as my other skills. But anyway, before I go into this week, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment below. Also, check out the links in my description. And I just love to hear from you. And I want to give a warm hug to whoever feels the need to give a thumbs down on videos. For some reason, those people have come out of the woodwork again. I'm not for everybody. If you don't like me, please move on. There you go. I have one of those charts that's a little bit challenging for some, but you don't have to watch them, hey? So anyway, let's go. What a week we have. It's another week of tide turning, as I like to say. But we start the week. Here we have I always do Sunday to Sunday. So at the start of Sunday on Eastern time, I always do Eastern time because I have to pick a time zone. So as we start the week, you can adjust for your own time zone. Timeanddate.com is brilliant. So as I record this, though, on the 29th of June, Saturn is stationing retrograde, and it's been exhausting. So after I do this, I'm going to have a nap. But we do start the week with the moon in Aries, just towards the end of Aries and conjunct the shit stirrer, as I like to say, or truth teller Eris. And so, there's a lot of pots being stirred. But anyway, that's just the start of the week. In these videos, I don't look at the aspects with the asteroids and I don't look at the lunar aspects. I do those minute details in my daily Substack posts for paid Substack subscribers. Okay, so at 8 a.m. though on June the 30th, the moon moves into Taurus and we'll spend a couple of days in lovely rooted, grounded Taurus. I always kind of like it when the moon steps into Taurus because everything starts to kind of calm down a little bit. And I think we do need it this week with the shifting sands and tide turning events that are happening this week. Oh, by the way, I pulled 3 cards for this week as well, so stay to the end to see those. We'll also be looking at the symbols for one of the events. But then at 9:03 a.m. on June the 30th, tomorrow, Mars will trine Ceres. So Mars is currently over here in Taurus, where he's feeling a little bit frustrated, although I kind of like it because Mars, it gives us good staying power, gives us the ability to really kind of drive forward a little bit. But Mars will trine Ceres retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. She is a dwarf planet, not an asteroid. And Mars and Ceres will give you a real kind of push and a drive to create whatever you are creating in this world. All right. So, yeah, we have that. Okay. So, oh, there it is. My image did come through. I thought the photo I've took of the cards I pulled didn't come through, but it did. On to July the 1st. Well, we actually have no major aspects on July the 1st. The moon will be in Taurus all day, so all of that kind of rooting, getting very grounded. We are in the waning moon. You can see we're heading to a new moon. The moon is moving faster, the sun and the moon are moving closer together. We do have a new moon on the 5th, so that's part of this week too. But there's no major aspects on July the 1st. Now, July the 2nd, huge, 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 huge day. Okay, so first of all, Neptune stations retrograde. Neptune stations retrograde at 6:40 a.m. Eastern on July the 2nd. And not only does Neptune station retrograde, we're still under the retrograde station of Saturn, which was on June the 29th. You can see that the two are only just over 10 degrees apart. Nessus is involved too. What's one of the centaurs? I talk about that in my daily blogs. But anyway, Neptune is stationing retrograde at the very last degree of the zodiac. And this is the last time that Neptune will fully retrograde in the sign of Pisces. We are heading out of that period. But Neptune will be retrograde until December the 7th of this year. And that's another big day. We'll obviously look at that later. But Neptune is only going to retrograde back to 27 degrees and 7 minutes of Pisces. So Neptune has a 165-year orb. And Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. And this is at the final degree of the final sign of the zodiac. All right. So this is oceanic. This is tide turning. Or this is like a big tsunami. And I've used those, I can't think of any other words to describe this. I've been talking about this all week. But not only that, as Neptune stations retrograde, Mercury is at the last degree of another water sign, Cancer, and trines Neptune at 7:53 a.m., just an hour and 13 minutes after the official station retrograde of Neptune. This is shifting ideas, news that kind of can bring up a lot of fear. Water signs, very feelingy, anything, words that come at us, any news can really kind of activate that fear, trauma response. But it's also a really great opportunity to clear your mind of any negative thoughts and let go of those. So that's how we start the day. You know, that's all by 8 a.m. on Eastern time on July the 2nd. Right after Mercury trines Neptune and while Neptune is stationed, Mercury moves into Leo. Mercury will be in Leo for quite some time, because if you follow my videos often, so maybe you don't, you'll know that we're in Mercury elemental year of fire, which means that Mercury will have retrogrades in fire signs this year. So Mercury moves into the sign of Leo on July the 2nd and will be in Leo till July the 25th. So no retrograde there, but that fire element of Mercury is really strong, okay, at this time. So, but Mercury in Leo is much more creative, much more kind of fired up ideas, much more kind of wanting to be on display and show. So a lot of ideas will be out there and get a little bit dramatic ideas. But that's until July the 25th. Mercury will move into the sign of Leo. Right after that, at 11:50 a.m., the moon will move into the sign of Gemini, which is Mercury's sign, for a couple of days. And so we're getting some more fire and air in the mix, which is kind of a little bit like, you know, a lot of hot air and a lot of ideas out there, but also a lot of creativity. So it's good. But then we have the other big aspect on July the 2nd at 2:26 p.m. exactly. The sun will square the nodes. And now we had Mercury square the nodes, Venus square the nodes, and the sun square the nodes. And this is often called the moon wobble or the bendings. This is the south bending, a time of release, because the sun is moving away from the north node towards the south node. But it's always another point of change. It's another crossroads. It's another thing where things feel wobbly and things feel unsure. So not only do we have Neptune stationing retrograde with Mercury trying to Neptune. We also have the moon wobble, and this is really kind of a shaky day. You'll feel on uncertain ground. You won't know kind of what to think, but that's okay. This the only way to deal with this is to really kind of float through it and allow things to wash away and to look after yourself. A lot of self-care. All right. Now, I'm not finished with July the 2nd yet, because later at 9:41 p.m. Eastern, Venus, still in the sign of Cancer, the water sign, now about reaching 8 degrees away from the sun, starting to be visible as evening star in some places. I'm going to incidentally do a recording with my friend Laurie Lothian about this, so watch for that on her Lunatic Astrology channel. But not really visible yet in most places, not official heliacal rise, as they say, as evening star. But Venus is going to come up and trine Saturn, and Saturn is still at the station point as well. So not only do we have Mercury, our mind, our ideas, our communication, trining Neptune on the Neptune station, Venus, which is our heart, our love nature, our love language, if you like, in the sign of Cancer, which is very much about family and self-care and basis of security, is trine to Saturn. So yes, these are supportive aspects, trines, but this is a lot. This is a lot, and this is a big, deep cleansing, in my opinion. Cleansing of old perceptions, cleansing of old ideas, cleansing of some people in your lives, probably, and letting go of a lot of old limiting beliefs and a lot of beliefs in many ways as well. So the 2nd is just a huge day. So while we're on the 2nd, I do want to quickly read the symbols for that Neptune station, because it is an important station retrograde. The last time Neptune stations retrograde in the sign of Pisces at that last degree. So the Sabian symbol is a majestic rock formation resembling a face, is idealized by a child who takes it as their ideal of greatness, and as they grow up begins to look like it. So this, Dane Rudhyar said, this represents the power of clearly visualized ideals to mold the life of the visualizer. So I don't think I need to say any more about that. Pisces is higher love, is idealism, is huge compassion. And this is a call to get very clear on those ideals, and how you want to move towards that and manifest those things. So, what do you dream of? What do you really want to create? And then we have John Sandbach's symbols for this last degree. I like all of his symbols, the more I work with them. So Pisces 30, the last degree of the last sign, the omega symbol is a transforming, inspired degree, because inspiration is also another word for Pisces, is a dense forest of organ pipes. He also says that this degree overall has the degree angel Mumiah, which is spiritual cleansing, endings, and rebirth, unsurprisingly, because it's at the end of the zodiac. He says this degree is aware of the vast number of possibilities in life and of the music that can arrive from all the potential interactions with the universe around it. What is to meet this plethora is the inspiration coming from inside, the music that arises from the self and is played out in lifetimes. The more we allow ourselves to flow, the more what is most needed and beneficial for us will come forth from the inside as well as meet us from the outside. This is the truth of this degree. And then the Chandra symbol for this degree is a large, halo in ring formation around the moon. Pisces is the sign of acceptance, and here in its last degree, acceptance reaches completion. So often we think we have accepted something only to find there are deeper levels to which we may go in this process. It's easy to accept what is beautiful and wonderful, but to accept all the rest, the ugly, the sad, the scary, the terrifying, that is where there is so much more of a tendency to reject or deny. This degree thinks in terms of bringing all emotions into the fold of the great and complete family of emotions. And the magic of it is finding that when all are accepted, the spiritual radiance reaches perfection, and we achieve the release for which we have been searching all along. So the Pleiadian symbol as well, which are the rechanneled Sabian symbols. A seer on his back and gazing into the sky becomes a channel for cosmic messages. Well, you know I love that one. Okay, so these to me are speaking about tuning into how we are reflected in the cosmos and perfectly in all ways, even the bits we don't love and like, and finding that place of deep acceptance. And then the Azoth symbol, his final symbol, is an object of great beauty unearthed. And of course, that's you, finding the beauty in yourself, reaching that deep acceptance, coming from the inside out, and then accepting that the world is also never going to be perfect. All right, so I will copy these symbols into the description because it's such an important degree. And I will post them in my week ahead Substack blog as well, where I go through these in written form as well. So on to July the 3rd. The rest of the week's going to take not much time at all because you can see because that's the big day, July the 2nd. That's the huge day. But on July the 3rd, Mercury has moved into the sign of Leo and will oppose Pluto. And that's really kind of looking deeply into our relationship with the collective and how we shine our light and help others in the world, the humanitarian kind of energy, how we take the lead to help others in a big way. Okay, so that's, well, there's a lot more I could say about that, but I want to get this one finished now and get it off to you. On July the 4th, a holiday, of course, in the US, and the sun will get to 13 degrees of Cancer, which is the sun on the USA's birth chart. That's all I have to say about that. And the moon goes into Cancer at not till 4:51 p.m. So the moon starts July the 4th in Gemini, which is very sociable and chatty, but then we'll move into Cancer, which kind of really is about home, family. So, maybe you'll go out and do your socializing early in the day if you're in the US. The moon moves into Cancer at 4:51 p.m. in the evening. Maybe, if you want to party, have it earlier and then just spend time with your family in the evening. It depends. Maybe your friends are your family too, but that's all I have to say on that one because, you're not all in the US who watch this. On July the 5th, okay, July the 5th is the new moon. I did a whole separate new moon video about that, so I'm not going to talk about that particularly. But I do want to point out that as we have the new moon at 6:57 p.m., just before that, Mars is actually in a sextile to Saturn. So 1 foot on the brake and 1 foot on the accelerator, you could say. But actually, this is very muddy. Mars is already slowed down in the sign of Taurus because it's an earth sign, and this is water. So this is kind of very deliberate. And what am I sculpting? What am I making slowly and deliberately and consciously? So it's quite a nice aspect, actually. And then later on July the 5th, the sun comes up and opposes Ceres here in the sign of Capricorn. And this again is having another good look at how our needs are being met by the greater structures of society. And I mean all structures, the political, the banking, the family structures, the cultural cultures. It's an ongoing process of that one. But Ceres really represents our needs, both met and unmet. So on to July the 6th. So Saturday, we're nearly through the week ahead. Early on July the 6th at 2:32 a.m. Venus, now you can see she's like nearly completely 9 degrees from the sun. She's really going to start to appear as evenings start in some places. Venus will square Chiron. And if you think back to the eclipse on April the 8th, where Chiron was conjunct the eclipse, the Aries eclipse, Venus now squares off to Chiron and says, have I learned that I need to heal from the inside out and not focus on changing everything that I cannot change, but really, if we all do our own healing, amazing. Later on, in fact, 5 minutes to midnight on July the 6th, Eastern time, the moon will leave the sign of Cancer and will enter Leo. But I do want to say that this is a very emotional period, this period around July the 4th, July the 5th. I hate to think what's going to happen with these stations and the moon wobble. We may be feeling a lot of kind of loss and grief and emotion. Self-care, self-care, self-care. All right, so so now we have the moon in Leo to finish the week. July the 7th is Sunday. I'm just going to look a little bit ahead to next Sunday. I'll probably repeat myself next time. But we start with the moon in Leo, which is a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun, a little bit more positive. And at 7:04 a.m. on no, that's July the 7th. Okay. No major aspects till later on the day. In fact, on July the 7th. Sorry about that. I had gone way ahead and I'm not going to do that. But in the evening of July the 7th, I will mention that Venus will come up and square Eris, the pot stirrer, the puller down of picket fences and artifice and what's hidden behind them. And she represents the outsiders. But of course, who's an outsider can feel different depending on your perspective. But Venus, look, she's, this is almost exactly 9 degrees apart. We're starting to feel her influence after her underworld journey behind the sun. But Venus will square Chiron. And this will be another look at our core wounds and how we are healing our core identity wounds in this time of rebirth and change. So cards, let me get the picture of my cards up and tell you what the cards for the week mean. Okay, so here's the cards. So you can see we have the 4, and the 5 of Swords and the 3 of Pentacles. So we start the week with the 4, and this makes so much sense for this week with Neptune stationing, with the moon wobble and a new moon. This is new beginnings, fresh opportunities, the potential to bring your dreams to life, having faith. The Fool's always got this element of trust and risk and taking a leap, right? And this is a call to be spontaneous and to be ready for taking a bit of a leap and be ready for an adventure on this Fool's new journey. You can see that in this, she's kind of looks like she's going to fall into the water below or whatever that is down there. But, this is being ready to kind of take that leap of faith Okay, so, but then we have the Five of Swords, and I see this as a bit of the challenge for the week. The swords are what's going on in your head, and this feels like experiencing some loss, but it can also be about mental confusion and conflict, and your inner meanie kind of voice going on. This one feels like it's going to be a little bit tough, but I just look at the way the birds are flying. The birds usually on messengers, by the way. But he's going, oh, I can't, I've got all this going on in my head and I can't hear it. And I can't see this opportunity behind. This kind of speaks to me of your thoughts kind of control your life. So be aware of what you're thinking, the limiting beliefs and the stinking thinking. And then we finish the week really with the Three of Pentacles, which I love. Look at this communal weaving of a new story. And this is about the vibration of conscious collaboration. I got it upright. This is about cooperation, community, teaching, learning, sharing, listening, teamwork, and a limitless ceiling on what you can create together. So, there is a little hiccup here if we fall into this mental gymnastic of, the fears and the limiting beliefs and the thoughts. And if we're not prepared to have the faith and step into this co-creative energy at the end of the week. All right, so that's it, everybody. I will see you next time.